Okay, I'm sorry again. I hope that he does not come back because I really want to get this out and I don't want to lose God's spirit while I'm speaking this testimony. So I was so heartbroken. I was heartbroken when they said another week because I'm thinking, no, I'm only here this second week, consecutively because I didn't want to come back to Kansas. And so, y'all, they didn't want to let me come home. They didn't want to let me come to Arkansas. And thank God my tags were going to expire. And I had not made provisions to get them early. So my tags were going to expire. And I told my supervisor, listen, I texted both of them because I had two supervisors, an immediate and then one above her. And so I text them both in tears. Listen, I got to get home to Arkansas. I need to renew my tags. I need to see my kids. This was not the plan. And y'all, I went in there to those people and I told them, listen, I have reached out to all of my people and I have requested that I go home. And they did not, they fought back against me to let me come home. And I gave them my ID badge and I said, I don't plan to come in here tomorrow. I'm going home today. And this was Wednesday. I told them if this wasn't going to go like it should have gone, that I was going to have to come to Arkansas and come back to Arkansas the next week. It was the only way I was willing to do it. And by the grace of God, it did work out for me to come home. And so those people hurried up and emailed my supervisor and they told him that I was going to be AWOL and all this other stuff. But little did they know, I don't do things outside of instruction. So my prayer was that my supervisors would allow me to come home. If they didn't, I was going to show up the next day. And so they had already predetermined that they were going to count me AWOL and try to do all these things to me. But they didn't know I was going to come back. And so I did have to go back the next day and I got my ID badge. And honestly speaking, I don't even think they were happy to see me come back because my attitude wasn't bad, but my spirit was so low and my flesh was so weak that I didn't want to be around myself, honestly. And so I ended up coming home to Arkansas, renewing my tags, and yep, what they did was they I didn't do a third week because I complained so bad. I didn't do a third week there, but what they did was because of my knees, I couldn't do a third week. But what they did was they were gonna send me to Liberal, Kansas for another week. So I thought. So fast forward, they gave me about 2 weeks, and they sent me to Liberal, Kansas. And this time, Jermaine drove me to Liberal, Kansas, and his sisters live there. So we were planning to go up there and spend a week and stay with his sisters and come back home. And so my supervisor told me I had written a grievance on that other location, and I just said, because I'm a very intelligent person, and that's just not arrogance, but I'm just saying I know how to talk and treat people, and I've been a trainer before, so I knew what they had done was not even a training program at all, not in the least bit. And so I went and I wrote this grievance, and they didn't want me to come back, and I didn't want to go back to work with them. And so because what they did was, y'all, they completely lied on me. They wrote feedback to my supervisor and did not include me. My supervisor shared this with me, but they did not include me. And they wrote feedback and they said that I wanted to be coddled. And they said that I did not master my knife skills. And just a bit of information, they would not push you through to the CSI training if you did not have the knife skills. So that trumped that. That was a lie. They moved me to the CSI training because I had satisfied my knife skills. But y'all, they left me out of the loop on my feedback and just bad mouthed me. They told so many tales on me. And that broke my heart. That broke my heart because it was a blatant lie. And so at that point is when I wrote the grievance. And I was able to go to another location. And not only did I go to another location in Liberal, but this was going to be a high speed location. And so, yeah, I had to let that process high speed, y'all. I had barely gotten low speed. I didn't get to finish low speed. And so what y'all do is set me up for success and send me to a high speed. Okay. So I get to this high speed plant in Liberal, going to work at 5 o'clock in the morning on the day shift. And my knees are still hurting. I'm wearing knee braces and I'm popping Tylenols like they're Skittles. And I go in here and I talk to the supervisor right away because my number one goal is to make sure that I can get this completed in 1 week. And what they told me was that I was going up there to demonstrate my knife skills. If they were good enough, I was going to be moved to the CSI portion of training. And if I could satisfy that in a week, I was going to be able to come back home. So, y'all, my baby was going to be graduating kindergarten. And if I was going to be there 2 weeks, I was going to miss my baby's kindergarten graduation. So none of this was okay with me. Because what they told me was, we're planning to keep you here for 2 weeks. Now, Jermaine had come with me. We were going to go back home for 1 week, after 1 week, because he was going to have to go back to work. And so I'm like, oh no, they are blowing up the entire plan that I had because this is not what they told me. And needless to say, I was there, y'all. And when I tell y'all, that was one of the worst days of my life. One of the most painful days of my life. But like I told y'all, God places angels everywhere I go. So he had an angel there. And I won't call her name, but I thank her so very much. Because if it were not for her, I probably wouldn't even work for USDA. And honestly, because I was in so much pain. I was crying. She witnessed my pain. She witnessed my tears. We would have a 15-minute break and I would go. They had so many flights of stairs at these red meat plants, y'all, too. I didn't mention that. I was climbing the stairs even from the first trip. Multiple times per day, like 4 to 6 flights of stairs. Up and down, up and down. And uneven floors, just everything. A person with bad knees, worst nightmare. And if it were not for this lady in Liberal, I probably would have no job, y'all, not with the USDA. And so, thank you, God. But I was leaning up against the wall, leaning up against their sinks. I was having to jump over things, y'all. In pain, excruciating pain. So every little break I got in the locker room, I was in the corner calling Jermaine, texting Jermaine, crying, trying to talk to my supervisors because it just simply wasn't gonna work. So at some point, the pain got so unbearable that I had to come home. I went to those people and I pleaded with them. And I also wanted to attend my son's graduation. And they had already told me, you're going to be here 2 weeks. So not only was I physically in pain, I was mentally distraught. And I asked them, could I just come home? I couldn't make it through the training. Could I call my people in the Springdale office? And could I get permission to come home because I'm in so much pain? And those people denied me the permission to ask because when you travel, that becomes your duty station. And so I was at my duty station in Liberal. And they said, if you leave, you're going to be AWOL. And I only had about 2 hours left in the shift. I pressed as long as I could, y'all. And so I ended up being AWOL like two and 3/4 of hours. And I had to go. I had to leave. And I came home. Jermaine drove me back to Arkansas, y'all. And my supervisors knew the nature of me. And that was my saving grace. They helped me. They my supervisor, I won't call her name, but she called me and she said, Courtney, ultimately what I did was I verbally resigned from that job. And she called me, she said, Courtney, do you want to resign from your job? Because I hadn't submitted an official written resignation. So I thank God for that. Even, that was a blessing in disguise because she gave me an opportunity to come to work in Pine Bluff and to work here for the week, and that's what I did. And y'all, I applied for a reasonable accommodation. I was given a slap on the wrist, and I did have to sign some documentation because I was in my first year probationary period. So you really just can't make mistakes like that. It's easy to lose your job. And so by the grace of God, I was able to keep my job. And I knew that my reputation had preceded me. And so everything that I had been, everything that I had shown myself to be, it spoke volumes for me, I believe, in that particular situation. And so God spared my job. And Jermaine, he told me, you can't walk off no job and still have one, especially with the government. And so I'm thankful, that I had not gone through the official process of resignation. And what broke my heart about it is, guys, I told myself also, when I said I don't want to ever get a job I don't want, I said I'll never ever walk out of a job. I'll never ever quit a job without having another job in place. And so I had to go back on my word, and that broke my heart in itself. Jermaine got me some breakfast, y'all. My favorite breakfast, and I ate that breakfast in tears. And we came on back to Arkansas, and we barely spoke about it because he was so patient with me, and he was so kind, and he just simply, he was an angel in disguise for me. So caring, so loving, and he took care of me like never before. And I'm grateful to him for that. But I got back to Arkansas, went to work, and my home work family, as I call them, my home family, they received me, and they were so upset. They were so upset about what I had gone through, and they were praying for me, and they just knew, these people, they not really working with you, and you're telling them that your knees are hurting. So I was given the paperwork for a reasonable accommodation. I went to the doctor. I had some x-rays done, and I was even going through some stuff that I won't mention, y'all, but I was going to do what I had to do to get them people back. But the Lord, he showed me something, and he told me in my spirit that he was going to make that right for me. He was going to fight my battles for me. And I retracted some things because I didn't want to get the wrong people in trouble. I didn't want the wrong people to be caught in the crossfire of what I was going through or the process I was going to go through. And so I retracted it because I'm the type of person, if I'm going to shoot, I need to hit what I'm shooting at. And I don't want to get innocent people, innocent bystanders. And y'all forgive me one more time. I hope this is my last time. The devil is a liar. I'm trying to get this testimony out, and now my baby has opened my door, and my other baby is playing the game. So y'all bear with me. This is gonna be the last time.